Suddenly, the fourth friend appears. Joe, you have a problem. And the three friends, you also have a problem. Today's focus, the higher thoughts of the Almighty. Find Foods, 7 minutes a day, 1 Bible a year. Grace and peace, everyone. Our reading today brings us to Job, chapters 33 through 36. Our key verse is, Job says, I am innocent, but God denies me justice. Is there anyone like Job who drinks scorn like water? So listen to me, you men of understanding. Job 34. Today we are speaking about the higher thoughts of the Almighty. By higher, we mean higher than men's thoughts. One might say, there is no such thing as the highest, but always something higher. Job's fourth friend wanted to come forward and draw a conclusion. Job, you are wrong. And you three men of understanding, you are also wrong. Listen to me, I will have the final word. So the fourth friend attempted to offer a different perspective, and a higher one at that. Indeed, what he said was on a higher level. But as we just said, there is no highest, only higher. Who could have known that in heaven, Satan was accusing Job, and that God had accepted the challenge? Just now, what Job said was wrong, and what the three of you said was also wrong. This fourth friend, Elihu, even said, Job drinks scorn like water. His words were scornful. He was simply arguing and insisting on his own view. And on top of that, he added, so listen to me, you men of understanding. This is my view. So the basic perspective was that suffering is caused by sin. That is what the first three friends believed. The fourth friend offered a new, higher level of understanding. He said that suffering is not necessarily punishment. It may also be a means of discipline or correction from God, meant to keep a person from pride and from heading toward destruction. Such words could indeed come from someone who knows God, for Paul was exactly like this. Paul had a thorn in his flesh, not because of sin, not because of punishment, but to keep him from becoming proud. For Paul was caught up to the third heaven and heard inexpressible things, things that no one else had heard, no one else had experienced, only he had. God allowed this thorn to torment him from time to time, causing him considerable discomfort. This new perspective raised the discussion to a higher level, but was it the final conclusion? God had not spoken yet. The key to Job is unexplained suffering. Where does the heart find rest? As for the structure of the book of Job, today we come to Elihu's speech, the fourth friend. After the three friends finished their 3 rounds of responses, Elihu, the fourth friend, stepped forward to speak. Then, after that, God himself came to deliver the final conclusion. And what is especially striking is this. After God gave his conclusion, Elihu disappeared. No one knows where Elihu came from, and no one knows where he went. So who is this fourth friend? We can reflect on that. He tried to reach a new level by judging the judgments of the three friends. One might say, anticipate your anticipation. Those who can anticipate can think 1 step ahead. Those who can anticipate your anticipation can think 3 steps ahead. While the three friends were making their judgments, Elihu stepped forward to judge their judgments, so he attempted to find a new level. Then Elihu said, hear my words, you wise men. Listen to me, you men of learning. Job says, I am innocent, but God denies me justice. Is there anyone like Job who drinks scorn like water? So listen to me, you men of understanding. Far be it from God to do evil, from the Almighty to do wrong. It is unthinkable that God would do wrong, that the Almighty would pervert justice. If it were his intention and he withdrew his spirit and breath, can someone who hates justice govern? He shows no partiality to princes and does not favor the rich over the poor. His eyes are on the ways of mortals. He sees their every step. Job 34. You who are wise and have knowledge, listen carefully to me. Job is scornful, and you three so-called men of understanding, listen to me as well. It is unthinkable that the Almighty would do wrong, that the Almighty would pervert justice. So what has happened to Job is not because God has done evil or acted unjustly. As for the people of this world, whether righteous or wicked, if God were to withdraw his spirit and breath, that is, if a person no longer had that breath, could such a person rule? No. God is still in control. The Lord shows no partiality, nor does he favor the rich over the poor. For Job was rich. His eyes are on the ways of mortals. He sees their every step. In other words, he watches Job's way and his steps, and Job's way is about to fall into a pit. He is scornful right now. Many things have happened in the past. God knows them all. Because God is just, he allowed these disasters to come upon Job in order to keep him from falling into the pit. It is a correct statement, but cold-hearted and not suitable for Job's situation. Raising the perspective, Elihu said, or someone may be chastened on a bed of pain with constant distress in their bones, and he is gracious to that person and says to God, spare them from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom for them. Then that person can pray to God and find favor with him. They will see God's face and shout for joy. He will restore them to full well-being. Job 33, verses 19, 24, 26. We often say, suffering is a blessing in disguise because suffering is allowed by God. We also say, when God closes a window, he opens a door. These words are also true, yet God's thoughts are higher. Elihu used such words to make his judgment, saying that you are chastened and in pain, but God shows you grace. The key is to redeem you, to spare you from going down to the pit, so that you may be redeemed. Then that person can pray to God and find favor with him. They will see God's face and shout for joy, and he will restore them to full well-being. However, we need to understand one thing. God is on a higher level. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Isaiah 55. The fourth friend was still not high enough. God still had not spoken, and neither the three friends nor Job responded to him. Brothers and sisters, don't you find that unusual? Who exactly is this fourth friend? When we read the Bible, we always look back at historical events with hindsight. We always think, if it were me, I wouldn't have done that. If it were me, I would have done better. I think it is very possible that the fourth friend represents us, the readers of the Bible, you and me. Because neither the three friends nor Job responded to him, and even God did not respond to the fourth friend, so isn't that very interesting? Therefore, we must lift our eyes and look upward. For God is on a higher level. He is the Most High. For the Lord is righteous. He loves justice. The upright will see his face. Psalms 11. He guides the humble in what is right and teaches them his way. Psalms 25. As we just read, as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are God's ways higher than men's ways, and God's thoughts higher than men's thoughts. So his justice and righteousness guide the upright, causing them to see his face, not in the way that people expect. He will guide the humble and teach them his way. When we lift our eyes and look upward, we do so through the three rows. In the illustration on the left is our journey through life, and on the right is the throne of God. God sends prophets to tell us his word, his will, and his ways. This is the role of prophet. We read God's word, which is the law and the teachings of the prophets. So the prophet comes from God to the people. In response to God, we go through the priest to offer sacrifices, expressing our love for God, and also bringing others before God, that is, going from the people to God. The third role is the king, who has authority to govern. When we are in the midst of suffering and reflecting on the path of life, God has already helped us look upward through the three roles, prophet, priest, and king, to help us fix our eyes on him. These may be elders, pastors, small group leaders, co-workers in the church, or perhaps older family members, parents, siblings, or supervisors at work. These carry out the role of king. When these things come upon us, God works for the good of those who love him. So we lift our eyes and look upward. His thoughts and his ways are higher than ours. He will surely work for the good of those who love him. Reading Guide to Job. The key to Job is unexplained suffering. Where does the heart find rest set in the patriarchal age? Chapter 33. For God does speak, now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. Where did Job get a fourth friend? Chapter 34. Hear my words, you wise men, the higher thoughts of the Almighty. Chapter 35. If you are righteous, what do you give to him? Elihu said, Well, even if you are righteous, what do you give to him or exalt him further? For he is already the Most High. Chapter 36. Elihu had something to say on God's behalf, at least in his own view. The fourth friend, Elihu. Indeed, suffering may be caused by human sin. Suffering may also be God's way of preventing destruction. But God is the Most High, and we must have an attitude of looking upward, submitting to his higher guidance. Blessed is the one whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. Fine food, 7 minutes. See you tomorrow.